Theresa May's dinner date last night with the bigwigs who are thrashing out Brexit from the EU side, and a lot of positive noises coming up, positive body language looking at that scene behind you as well after dinner.
Kisses, bear hugs, it was all going on. The dinner was only an hour and a half, so yes, some positive mood music coming out of that meeting yesterday with the Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker. It led to an agreement that Britain and the EU should accelerate their efforts over the Brexit negotiations. But there's still little sign of the Prime Minister striking a deal to satisfy both her EU counterparts and her own party at home. Our political editor, Faisal Islam, reports now from Brussels.
On this evidence, at least, not the enemy and the allegations of election interference long forgotten. For Jean-Claude Juncker, a kiss on both cheeks from the PM and a bear hug from Brexit Secretary David Davis. If negotiations were done on post-meal pleasantries, then there's a very good deal being cooked up indeed, but it's not that simple. A joint statement from Mrs May and Mr Juncker. The Prime Minister and the President of the European Commission reviewed the progress made in the Article 50 negotiations so far and agreed that these efforts should accelerate over the months to come. The working dinner took place in a constructive and friendly atmosphere. So progress, but no mention of an implementation phase. But it sounded far more friendly than Mr Juncker's public statement ahead of the dinner, suggesting the need for an autopsy.
I've never understood why journalists, even the most eminent journalists, ask for the outcome of a meeting before the meeting takes place. Yes, I'm going to see Mrs May tonight. We will talk and you will get the post-mortem report of it.
Et vous verrez à l'autopsie.
This isn't really about the money, though the Downing Street chequebook may have been required. One big question mark hangs over the PM here. Can she deliver what she promises? Part of the fault for that, the manoeuvres of her own Foreign Secretary, now urging progress in a flurry of metaphors, meeting his fellow EU foreign ministers 100 miles away in Luxembourg.
It's ready for the great ship to go down the slipway and onto the open sea. Let's give them that reassurance. Let's put a tiger in the tank. Let's get these conversations going and stop letting the grass grow under our feet.
Both sides say that this dinner was friendly and constructive and that there should be an acceleration in talks. But I'm told that this evening was never about a breakthrough. That, if it comes, will come over the road in that building, the giant egg of the European Council, where the EU summit happens on Thursday and Friday. And Mrs May badly needs some change out of those leaders, particularly on the issue of transition. Here, they are well aware that as the PM returns to that other negotiation with her own cabinet this morning, she needs to be able to show at least some progress. But cracking this negotiation open fully will take until December, at least. Faisal Islam, Sky News in Brussels.
Well, for more, let's speak to our political correspondent, Tom Rayner. He's outside number 10 for us. So Mrs May facing her cabinet again at 9:30 this morning. The body language was good, wasn't it, last night? Will she have positive things to say to her ministers?
Well, I think certainly the Cabinet will be looking for a bit more information than we got in that joint statement that was issued last night. They will be wanting to know if there is detail. Don't forget, Jonathan, that basically the positions have not changed. Although there is this determination to accelerate the efforts, the EU are still saying that there needs to be more money before sufficient progress is judged and things can move on to trade. And the UK position is that Theresa May has given a concession. She has been flexible, and in that Florence speech she set out a transition idea which would amount to around 20 billion euros going into the EU budget. So there is still a stalemate, and also that UK position was very hard won by the Prime Minister in there, with her cabinet having to agree unilaterally. That is why she is in a position where, on the one hand, she's conducting these negotiations in Brussels. She's on the phone to people like Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron. But also, these kind of cabinet meetings taking place this morning are deeply important as well, because if there is a prospect that in the background there has to be some discussion of increasing that offer, perhaps, from the UK, committing more money, then it is going to have to be agreed here. If there is going to be any movement from the Cabinet, they clearly will want to know what the concessions are behind closed doors from the EU side. So I think that's what's going to be discussed now, and Cabinet Ministers gradually arriving. I thought someone was about to... Yeah, the Culture Secretary is making her way up Downing Street, so we'll see all the rest of the Cabinet arrive in the course of the next 20 minutes or so.